Well, here we are back in Mittenrahm, and yeah, this side is just about finished. There are some holes that that can only be addressed once the inside is done, determining whether whether they'll be open so you can see through, or they'll be filled in something like this, or blankly, or even thinking about the purple mix in the collar, maybe using that, but yeah, that's all up in the air for now. The three tentacles on this side and their sides that are exposed have been done. Well, two or three sides that are visible. Not super happy. Not really that pleased with the idea of the kind of the mini collar going around it. I think it would have, if I'd had this idea at the beginning, it would have blended into the actual collar. Well, basically a little bit more like that. I could still do it, but I'm talking about something like this, so trying to fit that in now, I'd lose quite a bit of this, and maybe that's not that much of an issue, but I'm not super thrilled about the idea of massive alterations. Yeah, as you can see, the inside of it are not done, and obviously this side isn't done at all, just except for the experiment I did up here, and another one down there. Yeah, it's yeah, I don't know. You know, I talked about these little projections while I was doing it. I think trying to feel better the idea that, like, these are miniatures of these and these are miniatures of this, kind of maybe part of that whole idea of getting the viewer to question, well, is this the actual body, or is this just another larger version of this attached to an even larger version of this? So, and that goes back to the time when there was actually the plan to be the kind of the suggestion of another tentacle sitting about there with a connecting point, but that's all pretty out of the window since the body has been done the way that it is. There is some work still to be done, putting in some blocks to break up the lines, as I said in the last episode. There's a few empty spaces, a little too empty. Empty is fine, too empty is not. Deciding which is which is really the trick. But yeah, I don't know. The scale is so small that it becomes a bit too indistinct, especially with the lack of ability to distinguish the black stone without resorting to something much darker. Plus the panels, you know, these ones are quite large spaces on the underlying body, so you get certain sections where this coil stands out quite nicely, and that's very difficult to get on this. But I did draw a line under it for now, and there will be more to be done. That one still needs its mouth adjusted, and this one has been done. No, not that one. Must be the bottom one. Yeah, I can still see that there's blocks here. I think this one was the gilded blackstone was up here, and it went in the opposite direction. So you know that's all been adjusted. And I put the gold in to match the other three, and then so those two still need to be adjusted. And then make that final decision about whether the green goes in. I also need to decide what I'm doing about this, because I've obviously put in a second set of teeth, which I don't think any of the others have. A couple of them had a large tooth in place. Oh no, oh, looks like I did the... That's fair enough. What about this one? Oh yeah. Yeah, I guess I'll have to put that in the other three then. And you can see I've got this idea of a much larger tooth to go in. Yeah, I mean, they could both work and both look nice. I just don't know which one's really the one I want to use. Inside obviously still needs doing. Just gonna have to wait and see on a lot of how this plays out. But what I've actually been doing since completing the other side is basically just building the far side. And as you can see, got a lot of tentacles in place. It's not going too badly. I've been a bit more fluid, I think. I was a bit concerned about not making them as big, which I think they have fallen short in terms of how far they stretch out. Although I did make sure that they are, in terms of their diameter, they're a little bit more closely matching. But this is essentially done. What I'm going to do is there's a run of swirls that come from the spine. Probably going to take care of those. And then do the stuff that comes from the collar coming this direction. Because that's kind of fixed-ish. You can see it basically covers the two panels with only a little bit of spillage, maybe 3 panels occasionally. So I'll put that in place. And then it'll be a question of just filling in the space as I go. And I'll treat it about the same as I did on this side. Once this and that are in place, I'll just go through and I'll put in a bunch of swirls going all the way down the side as far as they can go. And then when I swap those over to the blackstone, I will fill in the spaces between the new one and the previous one. And then when that's done, I'll do another row. And they'll be swapped and decorated, and then the spaces will be taken care of, and just very slowly move forward. And then it will be time for the inside. I don't think it took me that long to do the other side. Maybe 4 weeks, possibly 6. And I think this will go smoother because I'm clearer on what I'm doing, and this needs to be changed. Yeah, this is miles out. Yeah, this was the second attempt at how to use the shading. I've tried to darken the bits in between the ridges rather than shading the ridges themselves. It's a shame it doesn't work that well. It works really nice on the brighter colours. It's a much bigger distinction. And once you get up far enough, so from the right distance, it does actually look like a separate colour. It actually looked quite nice when the red hadn't been replaced yet with the black stone, so I did all of the other blocks first and then swapped out the wool for the red wool for the black stone last, even after all of the polished and bricks had been placed. So yeah, it looked really nice. It made me wonder what it might have looked like if I'd stuck with purple, maybe. Well, not stuck with, but if I'd used purple. I need to put a couple of these in there. Probably do that first. Looks like I need a patch of this stuff. I can just do it here. Maybe put a little dark spot there. There, maybe. Anyway, that's what I've been up to. That's what I plan to do. And like I say, maybe 4 weeks' time I might actually be finished with the outer shell. It may only be 4 weeks. I had to redo the tentacles on the front, the spirals patterns on the front a couple of times because of the umming and ahhing about things like the collar. The variations I made of the collar, this is still a fragment of one with this weird kind of whoosh to it. And then there was a couple of the first spirals. They were coming out of here. And then I experimented with going here, as I mentioned last week. And yeah, there's one of them at least where I've actually left in one of the old ones. So it's still actually coming from the back, I think. Well, if I did, I can't see it. Oh, there we go. I mean, this doesn't look too bad still. It's, yeah. What can you do? Well, anyway, yes, I will draw a line under this and get on with some work.